So you've clicked on this video because you want to know about Think and Grow Rich. You either have it on your shelf and you have not read it, or you've heard a lot about it, or because you actually want to grow rich. So let me tell you what I think about this book, because I just finished it like last week or something. So let's talk about it. So first of all, I went on Goodreads and I found that like half of the people gave that book a 5-star out of 5, and the other half gave it a 1 out of 5, which was interesting because I was like, that's weird. I thought it was such a great book, you know? But in my personal opinion, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. Yes, a 3 out of 5, not to be unique or anything, but because it actually deserves a 3 out of 5, and I'm gonna explain why right now. So first of all, was it an easy book to read? No, it was not an easy book to read. Why is that? Because it requires a lot of imagination. He keeps talking about your mind and how it works and so on, and the ether, and that if you link this to that, that is gonna make you think that way. You know, it keeps talking in that manner. Like, not in all chapters, but there is that aspect to it, which is not really easy for everyone. So that's one thing. Another thing is that some of the stories are quite outdated, which makes sense. I mean, this book was literally made in like during the Great Depression, so that's very understandable. And of course, it has been rewritten a couple of times so that it could be more compatible with the world that we're living in right now. But still, there were things that were outdated, and there were stories that I just felt were kind of irrelevant in my opinion. But did that stop me from understanding a lot of things? No. And did I learn a lot from this book? I definitely did learn a lot from this book, especially because, you know, I've been seeing like some different quotes that were on Pinterest that I found out were actually from Think and Grow Rich while reading the book. And I was like, wow, okay, it does have some interesting sentences and some really good questions too. Yes, the book itself asks you questions. So yeah, so let me tell you about why I actually like the book and why I'm actually recommending the book. And yeah, but you know, the problem with this book again is that it cannot be read once. It literally cannot be read once. You need to read it at least 2-3 times to understand it fully, and in different time spans. So let's say you're 20 now, you're gonna read it when you're 30, you're gonna read it when you're 40. Because the book talks about different aspects of life. It talks about different stages and ages. Yeah, it mentioned the 40s and 50s by like the end of the book. So I think that's gonna really, it's good to know things, you know, early on. And yeah, so that's why I'm saying that the book has a lot of information and you simply need to read it a couple of times, which is normal with every every self-improvement book. But this one was a little, you know, I cannot say that I've got all the information on the first read or in the first read. So yeah, but either way, let me talk about the things that I believe were important or that really affected me as Thelma, or that I really learned from this book. So first of all, Napoleon Hill talks about really thinking and growing rich. Yeah, you might think from the title, oh, does that mean he's gonna give me a step-by-step process on how to get rich? No, he does not do that. He gives you a step-by-step process on how to think in the right manner in order to get rich. Yeah, which was quite a revelation when I was reading the book. He was explaining the concept that everything starts with your thoughts, which are in your mind. So if you have positive thoughts, you're gonna have positive things happen in your life. And if you have negative thoughts, then everything bad that you've thought of is gonna potentially happen at some point. So you could not be a pessimistic person. You want to get rich, then you should know and feel like you're gonna get rich. You're gonna have to put that in your mind the whole time while you're studying, while you're working, while you're making a business. You have to keep that thought in your mind so that it actually manifests and becomes monetary and turns into riches, basically. So what does he do? He takes you through 13 steps on how to transform your thoughts. specifically. Yes, your thoughts, not your bank account, again. So he talks about how you should have a desire to be rich. That's number one. Number two, you need to work on the idea that you need to have an aim or a goal in your life. Most people out there don't really have an aim or a goal. They just wake up, see what happens during the day, and that's it. They just go to their job, get back home, look at the TV, eat dinner, and then sleep. And then repeat the whole process again, and they call that stability. Which is good. I mean, stability is nice and everything, but if you want to get to riches, do not expect stability, okay? And that is a hard fact that you need to understand. And yeah, and besides that, he's like, a person without an aim simply will not get anything. Literally will not get anything. And even your aims need to be unique. Your goals need to be unique. You cannot be like, oh, I just want to get rich. This is a good statement. I mean, but is it a valid goal? Well, okay, you want to get rich. This is the goal. What are you going to do to get rich? It's not specific. Now that's a problem. So he keeps talking about planning and decision making and how you should plan and how you should have a group. I don't know, he called it the mindset group or something. He was talking about the friends that you make or the people that you work with who help you get rich are basically part of your mind too. They must have kind of either similar mindsets or different mindsets that work together efficiently. And I felt like that was a very important thing to know, specifically because we literally talk to people every single day. We meet people every single day. We have friends, we have colleagues, and we have business partners. So you need to understand that your business partner could be both your friend and someone who understands life and someone who wants the same thing that you want. Not just standing, not just doing nothing, and not just being friends with you. No, there's a difference. People who think alike reach things that all of them want. If our aim is to get rich and to have, for example, a successful app or a successful business or a successful anything, then you're gonna work well together. And yeah. And then he proceeds to talk about that there are two types of people. There are leaders and there are followers, and you need to understand which one you are. And based on that, you need to understand what's your next step. So if you're a follower, what are you gonna do? He talks about being, what is it? It was something like a really good follower, like someone who understands their leader too much, you know? Someone who just knows how to do the job so much better than the leader, okay? In order to become his own leader. And in order to get his own money and his own job and his own things, that he believes are not reachable right now. Okay, which is something that really, I was like, oh, okay, like this makes so much sense. And you know what, that is so true. If you think about it, the world that we live in, there are CEOs, there are everything, and there are employees, and yeah, this is how life works. There is always someone above you, and you need to understand that in order to become above them, you need to understand them well and become better. So yeah, I know it is a hard truth, and it's kind of bad, but like, this is life, you know? So yeah, he talks about a lot of things. He also talks about how emotions affect everything. And thoughts, yes, are important and they come from your mind, but they are corrupted completely by emotions. If you're sad, that's gonna affect how you think, obviously. And it's also gonna affect your actions. And actions are very important. Thoughts are not enough. If you have the thought, okay, I want to get rich, I can imagine myself in a BMW. I can imagine myself in an Yves Saint Laurent, like with an Yves Saint Laurent bag or whatever. Like, I could imagine myself with all of these things. And then what? Is that it? I could just imagine myself? That's my goal? I want to have these things? But what am I doing about it? I'm just saying that I want to get rich. Well, saying is different from doing, and you also need to understand that. He also talks about, since saying is different from doing, how to change your mind or how to affect your subconscious mind. And if you don't know what a subconscious mind is, it's the things that you do without thinking, basically. So, for example, I wake up, the first thing that I do is that I drink coffee. This is something that I have just systemized in my mind, and I'm just like, okay, that's the first thing I'm gonna do. He talks about that same aspect, but when it comes to riches. So, again, you want to get rich, great, good job. What are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna get rich? Is it because of a business? Is it because of an app you made? Is it because of a job that you got? How are you gonna do it? Put a plan, make decisions, and turn these decisions and plans into actions. Yeah, so, I wanna, let's say, build a website. So what are the actions that I should take in order to build a website? So he's telling you to have like the big fat goal and then try to divide it in order to understand what you should do. Okay, simplify everything for yourself so that your mind can take it easily and that somehow your mind starts to think about it a little bit in a very, how can I explain it? In a very simple way. The more simple your thoughts are and the more organized they are, the more that's gonna affect your actions. Now I know that when I wake up, I wanna go to the gym, or when I wake up, I wanna eat my breakfast, a healthy one, and then I'm gonna start working immediately. So if I have that thought process already planned out, written down on a paper or whatever, I am gonna be able to achieve everything that I wanna achieve. And by the end of the day, all of these actions and all of these thoughts are gonna turn into riches. Yes. Of course, it does take time, of course, because consistency is key. And people don't just say that, it's actually true. And he even mentions that. But he also mentions a lot the fact that desire is the most important aspect to reach riches. You need to have a great desire to be rich. You need to have a great desire to make that business work. You need to have a great desire to overcome all the problems that are going to happen. Without that desire, without that, like that huge desire that turns into obsession, nothing's gonna work and your riches are not gonna be accumulated. So yeah, that's what he talks about. And that's why I really like this book, is that he does talk about a lot of good things. He did change my mind on things. Like I used to think that, because I'm not motivated, because I'm just, I don't know, the circumstances are not working out. It's not because of that. Who put these thoughts in? Me. Who did all the thinking? Me. Who watched things and watch people talk and watch people do things and be like, oh, I cannot do this. It's me. Again, it's you. Everything starts with you and your mind. So if you know what to do with your life, and if you actually put it into a plan, and if you actually turn it into actions, and you have a great desire and obsession to continue and be consistent and not think about anything bad and just continue striving even if anything happens. Failure is nothing. It's just an evidence that you tried. Okay? So, yeah. So all he's saying at the end of the day is that everything starts with your mind and everything is achievable. All these people that you've heard of, all these CEOs, all of these big fat companies that were literally nothing when a couple years ago are now something. All these people are normal. The only difference is that they just use their brain the right way. Yeah, I'm being for real. I know this might sound brutal, but this is what he's saying and this is what I actually believe. I was like, oh, okay, that makes so much sense. So yes, I do recommend the book. You should read it. But again, it was not an easy read and it did have some things that I was kind of bothered from, like, you know, the idea that it was, again, kind of outdated a little bit. Of course, it was a self-improvement book, so it can be boring at times. And yeah, so that's it. That's my review. That's what I think. And I hope you learned something from this video.